Let's talk about execution. Let's talk about getting things done. Let's talk about focusing on the big important work, the deep work that you have to do to achieve your goals. Let's talk about getting the marketing results that you want by yourself or with your team and getting past that finish line and creating success. Today, we're going to talk about deep work. I've been going back through Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, and we'll talk about the 4DX framework. The 4DX framework, the 4 disciplines of execution, and how all of that can contribute to getting marketing results, either for you as like a solopreneur or copywriter or whatever, or running your marketing team. So with that, let's get into the notes here. Marketing is deep work. Not all of it, I know. But getting in there and creating marketing, creating messages that are going to resonate with your audience, that is very much deep work. And oftentimes doing a lot of the focused work that is required to get marketing results is also deep work, even if it's not the writing of the message. So like I said, a lot of this is based on me going back through Deep Work by Cal Newport. Again, in that book, he mentions the 4DX framework and goes into some detail on it. It's just one of those things that jumps out as like, it's a powerful lesson. It's one big idea out of that book that I think everybody should get into. And it applies, like I said, to copywriting and beyond. I like to think of it in terms of value creation, right? So in business, 2 major centers of value creation are product innovation, and say product there, but it can obviously be service innovation as well. But the innovation of your offer, your product, your service, and connecting with your audience for the purpose of sales and marketing. And most value in business is either created by creating a better offer, a better customer experience, a better achievement of the result by the customer, or through more effective selling, selling one-to-one or selling one-to-many. And all of that is driven by what Cal Newport defines as deep work. It's the work that requires focus. It's the work that requires attention. It's the work that often requires longer, uninterrupted blocks of that focus and attention. And that fosters your creative energy. And with that creative energy, you go and you create value for the business. And there's lots of powerful lessons in that book. If you want to work deeper and you want to spend less time lost in shallow activities that aren't getting you the results you want, well, the book is absolutely worth it. But this particular lesson jumped out at me as something that I thought, warranted an episode for a few different reasons. It's called the 4DX framework. And this is one of those things where you just recognize that like great ideas show up over and over again in lots of different places. I like to think of myself as an integral thinker, and that is I take ideas from all over the place and I'm constantly going out there and I'm learning new things and I'm getting other people's insights and perspectives on things, and I'm taking all of those ideas and I'm integrating them and I'm identifying where the same ideas, maybe in different language, in different models, are showing up over and over again. Those are the core principles. And it's part of what makes me a good marketer. It also applies across your life, right? So when you see these great ideas showing up over and over again, it's probably worth paying attention. Now, this particular model is called the 4 disciplines of execution, and I believe it's associated with FranklinCovey, and it applies both to personal high performance, like you as an individual, right? As well as to team high performance. I think that in that regard, it's very powerful, that it's very flexible, that it can help you get better results or it can help your team get better results. So the 4 disciplines of execution. Discipline number 1 is to focus on the wildly important. We can spend so much of our time focused on all the little trivial minutia that really doesn't matter, right? Or we can focus on all the urgent tasks, all the people banging on our door trying to get our attention, all the notifications going off on our phone, all the new messages showing up in our inbox as a to-do list that other people can write on, all of those different things coming in from the outside, right? And those can feel very urgent and they can grab your attention really easily, but they're not necessarily the most important things. And so from time to time, and you have to figure out the right cadence for you. There's a few different approaches to this. I like the 12-week year for this. From time to time, you have to step back and you have to say, what is wildly important, right? What are the biggest problems, the biggest challenges, the biggest opportunities that we're looking at here? And how can we make those a focus on an ongoing basis in our marketing, in our business, in my business, in my career, in my work, in my life, right? Focus on the wildly important. Discipline 2 is to act on the lead measures. I talked in a recent episode about lead versus lag measures, and that's what's being referenced here. So lag measure is like, I don't know, you got the client, you got the check, you made the sale, right? Or you generated revenue through your website. It's all these things that happen after the activity. The lead measure is the actual activity that takes place. So for example, I've just started with a podcast strategy, like a podcast guesting strategy, just to grow my audience and to reach new audience members, right? And a lag measure of that is how many episodes I'm going to appear on. And obviously I have goals in that regard, but the lead measure is how many podcasts am I or maybe my assistant reaching out to on a regular basis in order to get those in order to get those bookings, right? And so there's going to be a certain number that I reach out to. And based on the number that I reach out to, there's going to be a certain number that express interest or that maybe book an introductory call. A lot of podcasts will just book you without that introductory call, right? But there's going to be a certain number that express interest. And then based on the number that express interest, there's going to be a certain percentage that actually book the interview. And based on the percentage that book the interview, there's going to be a certain number that that the interview actually gets recorded, and hopefully, a lot of these percentages are very high, right? But then there's going to be a certain number that get published, right? But all of those are lag indicators to the lead measure of how many I connect with, right? And how many I approach and say, hey, I think that I have something of value to offer to your audience, and can we figure out what a good conversation would be, or what a good core topic of the conversation would be, right? So you want to act on the lead measures. In other cases, it's, a lead measure could be how many new marketing campaigns did you launch? How much money did you actually spend on marketing? How many prospecting calls did you make? How many, lots of different lead measures, right? But you act on the lead measures. You keep a compelling scoreboard. This is something that is going to compel you individually to take the actions that are going to lead to the result that you want, right? And so, like, as a writer, it may be I spend 2 hours a day writing, right? A minimum of 2 hours per day writing, and on on maybe a sheet of paper that goes on the wall that has every day of the month listed, I have a tally mark of how many hours I spent writing, right? Or if it's the number of people you need to prospect, you might have that, or whatever it is, right? You keep a compelling scoreboard. The cool thing about a scoreboard is you tend to compete with yourself, and if you are in a team environment, you tend to compete with others. And so there will be additional focus and additional motivation to succeed if you can see visibly that scoreboard that's out there. And then create a cadence of accountability is discipline number 4. So the cadence of accountability is about coming back and recognizing when you're on task, right? When you are executing and when you're not. And so like in Scrum project management, there are there are weekly scrums and there are daily stand-up meetings that are all about that cadence of accountability. In the 12-week year, there's a similar, weekly planning and daily planning that can happen for either a team or it can happen as an individual, right? So you're creating this cadence of accountability where there is ongoing checking with how did I actually do on the execution versus what I hoped to do. Okay, so you want to get marketing results with this? Well, we're going to go through the same process pretty much as we just went through. I'll do it quickly this time. But what I'll say is if you want to get marketing results, execution is everything. It's about launching new campaigns. It's about getting new marketing out into the market. It's about coming up with new strategy ideas. It's about the time actually spent getting in there and getting your hands dirty in terms of the creation of whatever marketing assets are required. It's about running another test and another test and another test, right? It's all about execution. It's all about execution. So applying this specifically to, say, running a marketing department, or if you're a marketing department of one, you want to prioritize your biggest marketing problems. So like in my process as a fractional CMO working with clients, before I'm actually working with a client, like working with a client, I have a conversation with them to identify what their current marketing problems and challenges are, and what, unfulfilled opportunities and all of that we could fit under this bigger umbrella of, problem. And we define what the biggest ones are that need to be accomplished or need to be solved first, right? Discipline 2, act on the lead measures. You define the activity that gets the results, right? The results are the lag measure, the activity is the lead measure. So you define what are the lead measures that are going to get us the results that we want in the end. And you are going to use those to drive so much of your action going forward. Discipline number 3, keep a compelling scoreboard. So you want to track your activity towards the goal. If it's team activity, if it's individual activity, you want to track that activity towards the goal and have it be in a visible place, in a public place if it's a group, right? But you want to track that activity and then create a cadence of accountability. You want to focus on weekly and daily execution towards your longer term goals, towards completing your bigger projects. And that's going to be how you get marketing results is not through, okay, so I don't necessarily need to give you another marketing idea for you to actually achieve what you want to achieve. If you focus on the good ideas that you already have in front of you and you actually execute on them, you actually do the work, sure, there could be a better idea out there, but most businesses that are struggling to get the results that they want can undergo dramatic improvement in execution and get much closer to the results that they want before they even try to improve their strategy. Now, of course, it's better if you do both, right? And that's what I work with clients on as a fractional CMO. But honestly, right? Like if you focus on these 4 disciplines of execution and you make them happen, you make it happen, you're going to get those marketing results that you want. My call to action for you at the end of this episode is ask yourself how you can use this. How has what I've just gone through in this episode inspired you to take action within your business, within your marketing? Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more content like this. And if you want to learn more about my process that I go through as a fractional CMO, I actually put together an in-depth, detailed page breaking it down step by step. And I think whether or not you'd be interested in working with me as a fractional CMO, you might find that valuable because, it actually integrates the 4 disciplines of execution, as you'll see, although not by name. And so I'll include that as a link in the description. I'm Roy for this Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and I'll catch you again in the next episode. See you soon. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.